we need to get a grip on our finances. I was tired of getting halfway through the month and having nothing left. I was tired of being invited somewhere and not being able to afford a gift or afford the ticket. And I was always tired of feeling like I was just bad with money. Now, my story is different, and I want exactly the same for you too. It's time for us to do some financial housekeeping. So keep watching because I'm going to give you some actionable tips that you can do today to start your journey to financial stability. So, what is financial housekeeping? To be honest, I kind of made it up, but I'm sure the term's probably out there somewhere. But it's where I look at it as, when you've got a closet and you open it and it's literally got old stuff in there, stuff that you don't use anymore, things that you bought that you've probably never worn or ever used. And it's sort of the concept of literally looking at every single item that you have in that closet and clearing out all the rubbish. So, in terms of finances, it's a case of looking at every aspect of your finances, what you have coming in, how much you have coming in, what you're spending your money on, like who do you owe, how much your bills are, basically every single aspect of your income and your outgoings are visible in front of you. And that's when we look at what is filling up space that we can't afford. Where can we clear out clutter? So clear out the bad habits, stop the overspending, stop the ignoring payments and missing payments and getting fines. Looking at cleaning up every area of our finances, from understanding the numbers into seeing the value behind, is this something we keep? Is this something we stop or cancel? And then looking at our behaviors in what are we actually doing month to month when it comes to the money that comes into our bank account, and what is causing the leaks that we have. So subscriptions that we've signed up to months ago but not even used the app. So these are the things that we're looking at when we talk about financial housekeeping. And I'm going to give these in 3 actionable steps that you can start today. The first step is knowing your income and knowing your lowest possible income. The second step is seeing your number, which is the first step in my 6-step framework. And I built this framework from trial and error of trying to get better in my finances. And I literally put everything to work together, and that creates stable. And I'll break this down in future videos, and I will continue to create a video for each step so you get the full framework. And then the last step is tidying your order, which is the second step in the framework of where, when your pay comes in, knowing what happens to your money. Just to give some context, my framework is specifically for people that have a variable income. So that's people that work in hospitality, in retail, commission-based jobs, or even if you're self-employed. And again, the world I come from, and it's a world I'm very attuned to, it's a world that I'm very familiar with and understand the pains of trying to budget with an income that doesn't even keep still. And I find that a lot of budgeting advice does assume that your pay stays still. They work with percentages of your income, and if your income fluctuates, that value is always going to change. So my framework works with the things that are stable in your life. And the first initial step is actually understanding what your income is. Now, being in a job where your pay can fluctuate, it's very important that you understand how much you are expected to be paid. That means counting your hours. That means understanding what your average holiday pay is. That is actually understanding where your payroll cutoff is. When I was a waitress, I kind of was blind to this and just knew my pay date. That was it. I knew my pay date and roughly if it would be good or bad, depending on how many hours I got cut from my rota or how many extra hours I picked up. And one thing I want you to start doing is counting your hours, understanding how many hours you've done. So then it gives you a rough idea of how much you should be getting paid, understanding what your holiday average pay is. So when you do go on a week's holiday, you understand what you should be seeing on your payslip and in your bank balance when you get paid. And understanding where the cutoff dates are, because not every not every business has a straight from the first of the month to the end of the month payroll period, or the time that your payday accounts for. Sometimes it can be from the middle of one month to the middle of the next month. So ask your manager for your payroll calendar so you can understand what weeks are included in the payday that you have coming up. That makes your calculations when you're working out your hours and your holiday more accurate and you're not guessing. So important things: know your income, get to understand your income, and get into a good habit of knowing what to expect when you get paid, whether it will be a high, medium, or low month. And also, to go with the first point, is understanding what your lowest possible income could be. And this is basically your basic contract hours. That's taking out any tips, any bonuses, any commission, any extra money that you could be given on top of the basic non-negotiable amount that the company has committed to paying you, and that's your lowest. I feel that when you're working on averages or when you're working from your high months, then you're living a lifestyle towards an income that you're not guaranteed to get every single month. And this is where we can fall flat. This is when we can end up borrowing money, because when that low month hits, our lifestyle is too much and our low income can't manage the expenses that we have going out for that month. So live your life towards your lower income months rather than your average and your high. The second point is see the number, and this is the essence stable, and this is your survival number, and this is the minimum it costs you to survive 1 month. So your rent, your bills, your utility, travel, food, and minimum debt payments. And this number is very important because it's a non-negotiable. You have to pay it out, and it needs to be protective. And I did speak about this in my last video. So if you didn't catch that one, go back and watch that after this video so you can get a full understanding what your survival number is. And then the third step is tidy the order. So what is tidy the order? Tidy the order basically means having a set structure of what your money does after it hits your bank. There's a specific order, a specific location, or specific job each pound has as soon as it hits your bank. And it's clean, it's straightforward, and it's consistent every single month. We are tidying the order. We're not having all our money going to one account and then getting spent while you're tapping your card, tapping your phone, and then halfway through the month, you realize you don't have enough to pay your rent. This is what we want to avoid. So tidying the order cleans that up. It reduces the temptation in spending money that's not meant for free spending. And it also starts building for your future and giving you that security that we all want. And why I started doing this was because that's the biggest thing I realized. I realized having all my money going one account was the biggest leak. That caused the biggest amount of overspending. That caused the biggest lack of control. I didn't have no control of my money. I didn't have no order of where my money was going. I didn't have no understanding of what I was paying, where I was, how much I'd have left, how much I should have left. It was just a pot of money that I was slowly picking from with no kind of understanding of what was actually going on. So when I started to tidy the order, it gave me understanding of, okay, I have this amount to spend on myself freely, guilt-free. I need this amount to cover all my essential costs. And I can put away this small amount to go towards my future. And that's basically the order. That is basically what it is. It kind of takes it does take a little bit of conscious work at the beginning, but eventually these things will be automated, so you don't really need to keep thinking about it. And again, that's the next step in the framework. So what I need you to do now is get a pen and paper, and I'm going to give you the order. I want you to write your next payday at the top of the page. This is what you're going to set up for the very next payday that you have. You're going to work out roughly how much you're going to get for your next payday. That means going back and counting your hours, understand what your hourly rate is. This means looking at what date this payday includes. And then if you do have any holidays included, working out what the average pay per day is. And this would be a conversation that you have with your manager. Once you have that rough amount, or you may already know what you're going to get, you're going to write that amount. This is essentially the amount that's going to come into your bank account. Now, if you watched the video before, if not, I'd watch that first and then come back here. You're going to work out your survival number. So let me actually give you an example, because it'll make it a little bit easier to understand. So I've got my pen and paper. So I'm putting 30th of July, and I'm going to put the income. So this is just an example. 2,700. So I have 2,700 coming in on the 30th of July. I've already worked out my survival number. So you're going to work out what your survival number is. And in this instance, mine is 1,500. And like I said, if you haven't watched the last video, if you go back and watch it, then you'll get a better understanding of what your survival number is. So my survival number is £1,500. You're going to set up a standing order for this amount to go into a separate pot. So there's different options. Most banking apps has the feature to set up separate pots, so you can separate out your money so it's not all sitting in your main account. Or you can also open an additional account where you transfer it to the additional account. Either way, as long as it's separate from your spending money. So that 1,500 is going to be on a standing order that's set up probably 24 hours after my payday, or 24 to 48 hours, depending on how regular your payday is or what day it falls on. But the closer to your payday is, the better, because we don't want that temptation to start spending that money. That amount is then transferred into your pot or your secondary account, and it's safe. You know you cannot touch that money unless it's going towards your essential costs. You cannot spend that money. You can't use it for other things. That is literally everything you need to survive 1 month. That then will leave me with £1,200. That £1,200 needs to then be split in 3 ways. One, to go into my buffer, which is a fund that I can dip into to offset my lower months. The second amount is your emergency fund, which you do not touch, which is to cover any unexpected expenses like parking fines or unexpected bills. So that's your emergency fund. And your last amount is yours to spend guilt-free. So that's the money that you have for the month to go out with, to spend on clothes, shoes, food, whatever you want. So it depends on you on how you divide that. What's your priority? Again, ideally, you want to be realistic with the amount that you're using to spend in the month. You don't want to go crazy and have loads, because you're just going to buy things for the sake of buying things. And then you don't want it too little that you're restricting yourself and you're tempted to then start dipping into savings, because we want this to be something that you can sustain. And sometimes when we restrict ourselves too much, that's when we start breaking the things that we put in place, because just not achievable. It's too restrictive. We just get down. We just feel like we just don't feel good. So we need to be realistic. I have £1,200 for the month. after we've covered all our essential costs. So I'm gonna separate £200 to go into my buffer, and this is the fund I can dip into to offset my lower months, to help me when I get a low month where my hours have been cut, where trade is slow and I can't get the overtime that I normally get. And that will help me protect future months where maybe my pay doesn't even cover my survival number. The second amount, another £200, is going to go in my emergency fund. And this is a fund that I'm building that doesn't get touched and is only used for unexpected bills or expenses, or any major repairs which maybe I need for anything for my car, or maybe something in my home that's broken I need to replace. And that will leave me with £800 free spending. It's only a rough outline of the order, but this is the order that your money will go in every single month. So tidying the order just means that every time you get pay, each pound has a job. Each pound is going towards something and not just going to be freely spent on things that it shouldn't be spent on. So hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, comment down below and I can make another video on it or make it a bit clearer. Also, let me know what kind of topics when it comes to your finance you want me to talk about. What are you interested in? What will help you? What will help you take those first steps? What you don't understand? What would you like more information on? So yeah, let me know below so then I can start tailoring my videos towards what you guys want to see and what you want to hear or what you want to understand and learn. I hope this video was clear. I hope it made sense and give you some actions you can take for this payday coming up. And if you didn't see last week's video on the first step on my stable framework, then check it out here. And remember, stability first, real life always. And until the next time, I'll see you soon.